Live from Cool Boys Central.
You're the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
From bat tips to bat nips, we are just three cool boys revisiting Batman, the animated series, and wearing hats. This is Batman and Beyond, a Cool Boys podcast.
I see Batman and Beyond.
Greetings, Cool Boy Bat Nation, and welcome to another installment of Batman and Beyond, a Cool Boys podcast. I'm Felk.
I'm Ballard. And I'm Steve. So cool.
Tonight's episode is Vendetta, directed by Frank Power, written by Michael Reeves. This episode aired October 5th, 1992. And features the first appearance of Killer Croc, that sexy bitch. Wikipedia says Detective Bullock is arrested for kidnapping. Batman, who dislikes Bullock, but nevertheless believes him to be a good man, investigates and discovers the identity of the real criminal, Killer Croc, who harbors a vendetta against Bullock for capturing him once. Batman must clear Bullock's name before it is too late.
So yeah, we start this episode off with, this boat shit and, whatever, this guy being transported by the cops. But there's a bomb, and it's a bomb that's set up by Killer Croc that we, don't know is Killer Croc from the get-go. I wanted to point out that Killer Croc, we know he's good with bombs because in Suicide Squad, that's the whole purpose of his character in the third act. Is to deal with the bomb underwater.
It's also referenced in Lego Batman as in the montage where he places a bomb underwater and goes, I did something.
I love that
line.
Yeah, so even this episode had something to do with Killer Croc placing bombs and in the water. That's great. I thought that's I didn't realize that that's actually like a theme. Like
that's his power.
I wonder if even in the comics, if that's a motif in the comics that he's like an underwater bomber or something. I don't know. I don't recall. I recall him doing, robbing television stores, honestly, in the comics. But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. And I like this episode because it's kind of like they're following Bullock. They think it's Bullock. Bullock's clearly set up. And it leads to Rupert Thorne. And then you get like a Rupert Thorne cameo that is really unnecessary. He doesn't really do anything. It's just like you get to see Rupert Thorne for a little bit. It was a fun episode.
Yeah, I thought that this was... It was good because you have it from Batman being suspicious from the get-go of Bullock, and Bullock smirking when the thing when the boat blows up. So you are like, why is he smiling? And they never really explain why he smirks at that. I guess it's just that he's
just happy that he's dead.
That the boat blows up, because that wouldn't be a good thing, But
Bullock's a fucked up cop, right? He fucking sexually harasses women all the time, as we've seen in the last episode.
He was probably a rapist.
Yeah, they really highlight the toothpicks with Bullock in this episode to draw that red herring for Batman to be suspicious of him.
Because they can't show him smoking. They can't. It would be cigarettes and cigarette butts, but they can't.
Oh, for sure. It would have been. You're right.
Good point.
Oh, that would have been so cool.
That's what it is.
What is it about cigarettes in movies that are so cool in TV shows?
Because the kids can't show smoking.
That's one of my favorite things about anime. Is that you get animated cigarettes. And that's one of my favorite things about old shit, old 80s cartoons like American Pop and heavy metal, where you get people smoking cigarettes and animated. Something about smoking cigarettes animated is so cool.
You should watch the black and white old Flintstones, because where Fred and Barney fucking smoked, and there was ads for Winston cigarettes or whatever.
I didn't know they were episodes. I thought they were just ads.
No, but in the episodes they smoke too. In the early black and white ones that aren't aired anymore.
Oh, I thought those were ads. I didn't realize those were actually segments of the TV show. Wow, crazy.
No, those were ads. They did ads in addition to it, but in some of their early episodes they also just smoked.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We just saw some paperwork that Batman was going through the police cabinets and files, because once again it's an analog world, it's not a digital world, and we see a reference to Bates, N. Did you guys notice that? Norman Bates.
Or Master Bates.
Woo! No, it was N. So it had to be Naster.
That's fine.
Why would Norman Bates be involved?
I have no idea, but it's a little homage, I guess. A little just for the sake of it.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? They also had an N bait. There was an N baits or a baits N and a bait N.
Mm-hmm.
Right before whatever N bar. Here we're seeing this stoolie, this fucking stool pigeon guy. He's down in a cave, Killer Croc's cave.
He doesn't know where he is.
He doesn't know where he is, but he's about to get fucked over by Killer Croc.
He just starts screaming, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, the water bubbles all in a creepy way, and a giant fucking beast, looms out of it and blasts him with fucking jizz.
They never really explain like what Killer Croc is. They just say he was like a wrestler.
Yeah, they do. They do. And it's kind of even more hit upon later in another episode. I forget what it's called. It's where he's meets the freaks, the circus freaks.
Uh-huh.
But he's a circus freak. He's just someone with a skin condition. And I think that's what he's kind of always supposed to be. He's not really supposed to be part of crocodile or mixed with crocodile DNA or something like that. Like he's supposed to be.
But his teeth are.
Yeah, he files his teeth. Like that's kind of how he's supposed to be.
Uh-huh.
And he's done lots of, obviously plastic surgeries to make himself look more insane.
We need to establish something that I'm curious about.
Sure.
Is Killer Croc black? Because in Suicide Squad,
I have no idea.
He requests BET to be in his cell as his thing. And he's played by a black guy, and he's kind of got, I'm beautiful. He talks like
maybe
that.
it's Suicide Squad. Yeah, maybe Suicide Squad. That's an African American person with a skin condition. That could be it for sure.
I don't really think. Yeah, I thought he was like a white guy or something. I don't know. He was like grayscaled.
Racist.
Is he part crocodile?
No. I know. Like I said, I think he's not part crocodile or mixed with crocodile DNA or anything like that. He's not a hybrid. I think he's just a human with a skin condition.
I thought he could breathe underwater.
No, he can't breathe underwater. He can just hold his breath for a really long time, and he works towards it. He's like a free diver.
Even real crocodiles can't breathe underwater, Steve.
No, okay.
Yeah.
They just hold their breath.
They just hold their breath. Did you guys notice that with the Killer Croc when he was in his sewer, that maybe he should be careful and stay away from the Sewer King, because the Sewer King has a bunch of crocodiles, calls them his pretties, and we know what the Sewer King does to little boys. And Killer Croc is a boy.
Those are alligators.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. Dude, I wish the Sewer King and Killer Croc did meet. They are, yeah. They're all the same to me. Crocodiles, alligators, caimans. Here we have Rupert Thorne. We had our Rupert Thorne, cameo. That was sweet. You got to see Rupert. But you also got to see Batman jump off a building holding Rupert Thorne with one arm, and then with the other arm using a grappling hook and swinging through Gotham skyscrapers. He has incredible grip strength. Like superhuman grip. What is that?
I don't know. I want to go back to your Thor. It's hard to get a word.
No, see, I want to talk about Batman's grip strength. Do you think he has like epic masturbation sessions?
I don't know, but I did like how
just think about Batman.
When they show Thor that it's like such a classic
Gripping his
mobster.
dick?
They have him like carried for a rose, and he's all just
oh yeah, Thorne,
being
yeah,
all, like kind of like nonchalant with Batman because he feels protected.
Mm-hmm.
It was very classic mobster. They like their mobsters in this series.
And don't forget, Steve, Rupert Thorne is literally the main crime boss of all Gotham now, as we saw back in.
He took over, yeah.
Yeah, he took over. And what was that episode where he beat out the other guy? It was See No Evil. No, not See No Evil. It was what was it? It's Never Too Late, when he took it from whoever the fuck it was that he stopped doing it because his brother at one point lost a leg to a train. Whatever the fuck it was, Stromwell, right? What was his name? Stromwell.
I don't even think it was his brother. I thought it was his friend.
No, it's his brother was the priest.
Oh, was his brother?
For sure, his brother was the priest. Yeah, that was his brother. Yeah, that was the whole twist in the end. And he had his son, Joey Jojo Shabadoo Jr., that was the heroin addict, for sure.
All
absolutely. Right. One of the things we just saw, Steve, was where Batman goes to Ocean World for research about a crocodile.
He doesn't, but I like how...
He did.
Oh yeah. He goes to the zoo for the crocodile.
He goes to Ocean World for research on a crocodile.
That's sparked by Alfred just giving him an idea. So, like, once again, Alfred's just like, hey, what's this scale doing here? He's like, scale or something like that. And suddenly
He says something about like this is a microwavable crock pot, and then Batman's like, crock.
Oh, yeah.
You're genius, Alfred. Fucking genius. Absolutely, yeah. Or what was the other one? He said something about like catching a cold, and then Jeff Goldblum uploaded a virus to the aliens. Wasn't that another episode?
So Batman just goes exploring in the bay and finds a cave, and that just so happens to be the cave that the Croc is stayed in. It seemed kind of
the only cave.
It seemed pretty easy. I just have to say.
Well, once he knew what to look for after going to Ocean World and getting all the research he needed by standing next to the Croc exhibit, absolutely. You know what's interesting, Steve, that you point out? You point out by Batman going underwater and searching for caves, we get to see something new. I think this is the first time we get to see Deep Dive Batman. And by the way, Deep Dive Batman was an actual Batman toy. He was yellow, and I had him as a kid, and it was a real thing, Deep Dive Batman. And it wasn't based on this series. It was just like... It was like their kind of 1989 Batman series mixed along with their Batman Returns series mixed along with just, you know, it was kind of like just the Batman series of toys. But it was called Deep Dive Batman.
Doesn't this also introduce like Batman's like visor thing that has like a little computer?
No, we have seen his Cyclops visor before, but yes, this episode definitely has his fucking Cyclops visor, and it gives him or no, that's not this episode, is it? Does he have that in this episode? I don't think so. What does he have?
I thought
no,
so.
In this episode, he has red lenses. He has red lens. His eyes turn red.
Oh yeah.
He does his Cyclops detective mode somewhere else. Coming up soon in another episode. I can't remember which episode it is. I think it might be actually the Clock King. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, he does red lenses when he's like, you know, fighting Killer Croc in the water. Yeah, he's got his like infrared lenses on and shit. It's really cool looking image for sure. Mm-hmm. Something that his dad's character has, Thomas Wayne has when he's Batman in Flashpoint.
He knows that the bright light, because he went to the zoo, will really harm him. Because he has crocodile DNA in him. It's not just because he's human.
No, they say that he's human, but his skin looks
they don't say
like
that.
Crocodile. Like, yeah, that's what they say.
In this episode?
Yeah, that's what he says. Batman analyzes. He actually analyzes the scale, and he goes, it resembles like crocodile, like, you know, features, but it's absolutely human DNA. It's what he says.
What I see here, they call him half man, half crocodile.
That's not what Batman said in this episode. But believe it or not, its cellular structure is human. But the texture of it is crocodilian.
Yeah, so it's half man, half crocodile. That's what I'm going by this wiki.
No, and the texture of it is almost reptilian. That's all he's saying. Almost reptilian. Not anything to do with actually being reptilian or crocodilian. He says it's human molecular whatever. All that jazz. He did. He said it. He said it.
Okay.
He said it. You know what I love is we get a great Batman comeback in this episode. You know, when we go to another, you know, one of these classic, you know, Steve's sponsor cliffhanger act breaks from Act 2 to Act 3, where, you know, Killer Croc is drowning Batman, but Batman overcomes it and then says, "Don't hold your breath." I loved it where Batman's being drowned by Killer Croc comes up. Don't hold your breath. You're so ridiculous, Batman. We have like a series of episodes coming up where Batman has really bad puns, almost Adam West level puns. Did you guys notice how when Bullock is getting in the car, none of the press see Killer Croc like roll up on Bullock in the car, but for some reason they followed Bullock and were taking photos of him as he was getting in the car to get away from them when he was leaving his court hearing or whatever the fuck?
I just assumed he was in there for like a long time.
He was just hanging out in his car?
Yeah, I just assumed that he was like hiding for like hours, waiting for Bullock to come.
Very cool. Well, I guess.
That was my assumption, at least.
You know, okay, this episode has something that's a real pet peeve of mine.
What's
it's
that?
stuff that happens in things like Pacific Rim. It happens all the time in movies with water fights. What I hate is in a film. The other pet peeve I would say in like TV shows and movies and all that stuff is when people are driving a car and they're barely looking. But that's everyone's pet peeve. But this is my pet peeve about water. It's water depth pet peeve. What happens is Batman and Killer Croc are standing in knee level water. and like squaring off, and then they tackle each other. And when they tackle each other, all of a sudden around them, it's just like at minimum 6 feet depth of water, right? I hate that kind of stuff. I hate when people are like, when they need to be above the surface, they're standing at like, knee level, but then when they're tackling underwater trying to drown each other, it's like unknowable depths. All of a sudden it's just so much volume of water. I can't stand that. That kind of frustrates me. And that actually is going to be a huge point for me of contention for why I will give this the rating I'll eventually give it. We'll get into that in a little bit though.
It's currently like waist high, and he's fighting with them, and then he gets thrown to so now, yeah, I guess so. You're right.
It's like really deep all of a sudden. But
I was kind of feeling like he was on his knees then, but he's not. They showed him like basically floating, it seemed like.
And they're like running, and then next thing, they're like floating in huge depths of water.
And then he jumps up, and now I guess the water is filling up. Now they're showing it's at his shoulders.
He's walking into a deep end. That's what it fluctuates. But that's a common thing I've seen in like lots of movies. Whenever you have to deal with like a water fight, it's just too deep.
Why is there a lot of water just pouring into here? Did Batman do that?
No, I think it's just like a sewer
That's just
location.
An area where water just
I'm telling you,
pools?
Killer Croc's got to worry about the Sewer King. He's very close. They essentially play in the same backyard. It's very scary.
So Batman basically stops him because the water is really the water pressure is too tough.
I guess, and it breaks down everything. Yeah, at least it's not an electrical fire again. I mean, they're branching out here. One thing about this episode's really cool is how this establishes Batman as a crime fighter.
Oh yeah,
as well as a detective, because in this episode, Batman has a hunch. And I love that he has hunches. And he has a hunch that's Bullock. And he's fucking looking for Bullock. And he's looking for evidence that's going to bust Bullock. And the evidence is telling him kind of, because of the one toothpick in the beginning, it could be Bullock. And then he goes with this idea it's Bullock. But when he comes across the Croc idea, when he comes across Killer Croc eventually, he's open-minded enough to follow the evidence and not follow what he intended his end result to be. He actually allows detecting to work and be a process rather than just simply finding examples to back his claim or what he expects. And I like that. That's a really cool thing.
He does his detective work. He doesn't just jump to a conclusion.
But he had enough detective work that he could have pretty much almost gone with Bullock. Yeah. So that's good. I mean, I'm just saying that's really admirable. Like that's such a cool thing to like show that he was trying to go one way with it. He really thought it was one way, but he was willing to change because the evidence changed.
I liked how Bullock and Batman just kind of bonded. At the end, he's like, "We both fight crime. We just do it in different ways."
Yeah, and then Batman like smiles at him. Batman gives the smirk, right? Mm-hmm. Right at the end, he's watching him on TV. He's all like, "Yeah, I got you, Bullock.
That's my boy."
All right. So what are you guys' boys? I'm going to go first. I give it 3 out of 5 boys. And I would have given it 4 out of 5 boys. But for me, that's just that water depth, pet peeve of mine. It knocked it down a whole boy. I can't give it a boy for that water depth. So 3 out of 5 boys for me.
I give it, I'm like, but I guess like 3.5 to 4. I don't know. Do we do halves?
Yeah, you can do halves.
Yeah, I'll go with like 3.5. Again, this was a fun one. It was interesting. And I liked how, like you said before, how Batman was a detective and realized that he was kind of being duped by Killer Croc. And for whatever reason, I feel like the ends of these episodes, some of them just didn't work for me. So it's just like, he finds out it's Killer Croc and he stops him, and then that's it. I don't know what I'm looking for, but that's why.
Very astute, Steve. Very astute.
Yeah. Thank you.
How about you, Felk?
I'll give it 2 boys. I don't like Bullock. I don't find him interesting, and as a kid, I always kind of liked Killer Croc, but yeah, the reason why he sucks in everything is because he kind of just sucks. He's just a monster. The best Killer Croc is really from the Arkham games, and he's just a giant like beast monster. There's no depth to his character, nothing interesting about him.
The Arkham one is more of an actual like DNA maybe mixed crocodile and human being for sure.
He's
like,
huge.
That one's weird.
He's big.
He's huge, and he's actually like crocodile looking. Like he actually looks like a crocodile with a little bit of man.
Why don't you like Bullock?
Because he's a piece of shit. Like the show tries to make you not like him. They make it pretty clear he's a sexual harasser. He's constantly stealing all the donuts.
I'm not like a big fan of Bullock either, honestly, Steve. I mean, I don't hate him like actively, but I just don't like him as a character normally.
See, I think it's interesting for a kid's show to have that as a character. That's why I like him. I think to have this like conflicted police officer who in this episode they show that he is a good guy. He's trying to stop the mobsters in this thing. And at the same time, he's also an asshole. And I think that's kind of interesting to have it once again at a kid's show. So I always thought he was an interesting character for Batman to have, that it wasn't all just Jim Gordon and these Montoya, these gung-ho cops, that they also have these like dirty cops. But is he a dirty cop, or is he just a piece of shit? But that's why I thought that's why I think he's an interesting character.
Great bat stuff, gentlemen. Cool Bat Nation, be sure to let us bat know what you bat thought of Vendetta, or what your favorite bat episode is by bat emailing us at batmanandbeyondcoolboys@gmail.com. New episodes of Batman and Beyond come out every Tuesday. Also, please check out our other great Cool Boy Central content with The Cool Boys Podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Patreon, where the Cool Boys have an uncensored discussion about 5 so cool movies, everything ranging from bods to dongs and all the boners they have given us. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Cool Boys Podcast and Facebook group us at The Cool Boys Podcast. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube by searching for The Cool Boys Podcast. And be sure to rate and review us on iTunes at The Cool Boys Podcast. And if you like, you can donate to us on Patreon and receive additional episodes of Cool Boys After Dark and a Cool Boy shout out on the Cool Boys Podcast that airs every Tuesday. You can find the Cool Boys on Patreon at patreon.com/coolboyspodcast. Thank you for listening. Stay cool, Cool Boy Nation. Until next time, it's Byzies from Felk.
That's Byzies from Ballard.
And Byzies from Steven.
So cool.
Batman
And Beyond.
Oh yeah.
Batman
and Beyond.
Oh, yeah.